All right, let's talk about something you probably have in your fridge right now, a condiment, right? But what if I told you its story is way richer, spicier, and honestly more surprising than you could ever imagine? Let's dive in. Okay, let me hit you with a wild fact right out of the gate. Picture this. It's 1991. A huge shift happens in the American kitchen. Something dethroned ketchup. Yeah, ketchup as the number 1 condiment in the US.
So what was it? What could possibly take down the king of condiments? Of course, it was salsa. That amazing bowl of fresh, vibrant goodness. It went from just a simple sauce to a total cultural phenomenon. And today, we're going to unpack that incredible journey. So, first things first, we've got to go way, way back. I'm talking long before anyone even thought of a tortilla chip. Salsa was a huge deal in ancient kitchens, and its history, man, it's this incredible mix of different cultures. And this quote, it just nails it. It perfectly sums up the whole complex story. The origins are indigenous, the identity's totally Mexican, but the name we all use, that's Spanish. It's a perfect storm of history in one bowl. Let's break this down. We're talking 700 AD. The Aztecs, the Mayans, they're already making these salsa-like sauces, grinding everything up in these awesome volcanic stone mortars called molcajetes. Fast forward a few hundred years to 1571, a Spanish priest shows up, sees what they're making, and just calls it salsa, which, is just Spanish for sauce. Pretty straightforward. But get this, the chips and salsa combo we all know and love, that didn't happen until the 1940s in LA. And all of that history leads us right up to 1991, the year salsa officially became king. Okay, so that's the history. Now let's get into the good stuff, the salsa itself. Because not all salsas are the same, not by a long shot. Let's meet the big three, the classics you'll see everywhere. This makes it super clear. First up, you've got Pico de Gallo. That's your fresh, raw, chunky stuff, super crisp and bright. Then there's Salsa Roja, red salsa. This one's cooked or roasted, which gives it that amazing, deep, smoky flavor. And then my personal favorite, Salsa Verde. It uses tomatoes, not tomatoes, so it's tangy, acidic, and just zingy. 3 totally different vibes. Let's talk about Pico de Gallo for a sec, because it has the best nicknames. Salsa Fresca, fresh sauce, makes sense. Salsa Bandera, or flag sauce, because the red, white, and green look just like the Mexican flag. Cool, right? But the literal translation is Rooster's beak. How great is that? Nobody's totally sure why, but one theory is that people used to eat it by pinching it with their thumb and forefinger, kind of like a pecking rooster. I love that. Okay, quick public service announcement here, because a lot of people get this mixed up. Salsa Verde is not the same thing as green enchilada sauce. The biggest difference is how they're made. Salsa Verde is all about that fresh, sharp, tangy flavor from raw or boiled tomatillos. It's usually a bit chunky. Enchilada sauce, on the other hand, is roasted. It's cooked down, so it's way smoother, richer, and more savory. Totally different things. All right, are you feeling inspired to hit the kitchen yet? Good, because for our last section, we're going to talk about how you can make your own masterpiece at home. And maybe more importantly, we'll cover the big mistakes you definitely want to avoid. So, when you're making your own salsa, the very first choice you have to make is a huge one. It really sets the tone for everything. Are you going to go raw for that fresh, crisp bite? Or are you going to roast everything to get that deep, smoky, complex flavor? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's all about what you're in the mood for. So if you decide to go the roasted route, here's the play-by-play. First, you gotta char your veggies. Get those nice black spots on there. Then toss them in a blender. But, and this is the pro move, don't stop there. Simmer it. But the blended salsa in a pan for like 15 minutes, it's an absolute game changer. It thickens up and makes all those smoky flavors just pop. Okay, let's save you some heartache. Here are the top mistakes people make. Number 1, watery salsa. Nobody wants that. The easy fix, just scoop out the seeds and the gooey pulp from your tomatoes. Easy. Number 2, using dried herbs. Don't do it. Fresh cilantro is a must. 3, wrong onion. Use white onions for raw salsas and yellow ones if you're cooking it. And last, but this is the hardest one, don't serve it right away. Let it hang out in the fridge for a few hours. I know it's tough, but trust me, it lets all the flavors get to know each other. And, while we usually think of Mexico when we think of salsa, the whole idea of a fresh, punchy sauce is found all over the world. especially across Latin America. You've got amazing stuff like Cuba's mojo, which is all about citrus and garlic, or Argentina's chimichurri, which is just this incredible herby powerhouse.
And really, don't be afraid to experiment. The salsa world is huge. Throw in some fruit like mango or pineapple for a sweet and tangy twist. Add some corn and black beans to make it heartier, more of a meal. Or you could even try something like salsa macha. It's like a Mexican chili oil, full of dried chilies, nuts, and seeds. It's crunchy and rich, and oh man, it is so good.
So there you have it, from an ancient staple food to a modern-day superstar that took down ketchup. That is the amazing, surprising story of salsa. We've gone through the history, we've broken down the classics, you even have the secrets to making your own. So really, there's only one question left to ask. What kind of salsa are you going to create?